Hello everyone, happy Sunday and welcome to Viewers Voices, the weekly show on which I share comments that have been sent to me by people who have been kind enough to watch Donu's World videos on Wednesdays, Fridays and Sundays. Now, first of all, I'd like to apologize to the many people who commented on last Wednesday's video, not this last Wednesday, the Wednesday before, about governors who defect to the ruling party in Nigeria. I'm really sorry if I missed you out. There were so many comments and I kind of overlooked them. Please forgive me. So what I'm going to do is I'll talk about this week's Nigerian video from last Wednesday, which was basically Peter Obi, the main opposition leader, his reaction to the governors running away from the opposition and moving to the ruling party. For my foreign viewers, mostly Americans, I think, it's like somebody being voted in as the Democratic governor of, let's say, New York. And then in between, before the next election, he becomes a Republican and he doesn't consult his voters. He just moves across. And it happens both ways. It could be a Republican in Montana decamping to the Democratic Party without asking anybody's opinion except a few cronies at the top. So that's what this whole debate in Nigeria about governors defecting is all about, in case you don't fully understand it. So Peter Obi, who is still a member of the opposition and has not decamped to the ruling party of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, says he didn't think that the voters who had not been consulted could be dragged into, they could be bullied into supporting the ruling party in the next election. In other words, your governor moves, but that doesn't mean that all the people who voted for him before are going to move with him, okay? And I agree with Obi to some extent, though I'm concerned about the fact that Nigerian governors can be big bullies, and they do specialize in rigging elections and intimidating people and using all kinds of dubious tactics to win. So I want Obi to be right, but I'm not sure he is. And a whole bunch of people had sent me comments about this topic. ENM60 said he or she agreed with my analysis. Obi Chukwuemeka said, well done. Chimakalu 5195 had a more complex. Basically, she agrees with Peter Obi that the Igbos from the southeast, in particular, because Peter Obi is an Igbo, will not allow themselves to be dragged along to the ruling party, which they do not like much, in the next election in 2027. Then there's Wori Enwachineke, who shares my concerns that Peter Obi might not be on the ballot paper for all kinds of complex political reasons that Nigerians are aware of and foreigners might wish to, who want to understand, may have to go to Dr. Google for a full explanation. Because, politics is complicated in any country, America, UK, New Zealand, wherever. So outsiders are not going to understand what all this is about unless they sit down and read a few background articles on Google or wherever. So Mori Chineke 9522 says that she's worried that Peter won't be on the ballot paper and thinks that, Peter Obi's supporters should storm the venue of the primaries, the 2027 primaries, to make sure their feelings are known while the big boys are, spreading bribes around. Well, I'm afraid, Mori, that will not work because really, we have no control over the delegates. That is we, the ordinary supporters of Peter Obi. Then Nehemeka says, currently in Enugu State, all the PDP wards have been collapsed to become the new APC grassroots structures. But interestingly, there has been a little defiance amongst the members who insist they are not following the governor to the APC. Well, it's good to know because the voters haven't been consulted, but at least if ordinary party members in those states where the governors have broken faith with those who voted for them, if party members put their feet down, the governors are going to be in deep shit. Because the thing is that they have committed to taking their states into the APC, and if they can't do it, they're going to wind up with egg on their faces. Anyway, the full comments made by Maka is going to be posted on the screen for you to read if you want to, because I'm afraid there's so many comments here, I can't get through all of them. So, Frankfurt China says, this is a very sincere submission. APC will come with intimidation and violence to rig elections in the Southeast. If the Southeast doesn't work earnestly to plan on a way to defend our votes, then we should forget about it. I quite agree. You have to sort of defend your vote. You have to be at the polling stations. You have to refuse to take bribes. You have to you have to fight back if thugs come and grab ballot boxes. How you're going to do that, I'm not entirely sure. Because I mean, I've been involved in elections at the local level myself in the past, and it is not easy. There's a lot of violence, so it's a very, very worrying situation. We have Paul George 1117 and Flora Una, all both, agreeing that the ruling party is likely to use intimidation and rigging in 2027. Patricia Wask, who is now an honorary Nigerian. Patricia, I think I'm going to arrange a Nigerian passport for you so you can come and visit me without having to get a visa, because you really seem to understand what's going on here. And that's great for a white American lady to be so interested and supportive. Pat says, it's a sound plan, Donu. It's imperative to build a coalition or begin to build a coalition of obedience now, who are obviously going to stand firm to stop the next election from being stolen from them. Then there's Solomon, who talks about Wike, my former governor, being planted in the PDP, and these are all very sort of like depressing factors. Solomon thinks Obi might not make it on the presidential ballot because Nigeria is at rock bottom right now. Well, we'll have to wait and see. Chief, I'm really sorry, Chief, but your number is 7660. I can't pronounce your name. I think it's good. When people's names are rolled into one, first name and surname all rolled into one, it's very difficult for me to sort of like get the name right. I'm so sorry. So Chief says that politicians are purely after their interest. Mitch Class says, as he rightly pointed out, it will come down to the use of force to rig, and so on. So let me just name the other people who have commented without reading out their comments, though their comments will be shown on the screen. Kingsley Alarechi, interesting things about life. Samson Ali, Neb Digos 9732, Goz Rod as life. My goodness, what does that mean? Sorry. I mean, I'll just quickly comment on that. He says, Madam, Southeast is a no-go area for APC when it comes to presidential election. Tinubu cannot get more than 10%. Well, I hope you're right. So there are a lot of comments from people. Chimakalu, Freedom of Onwan, Chimakalu again, stating their support for Peter Obi and expressing the view that that Tinubu won't get anywhere if he tries to rig the elections through these governors that he has co-opted. They use examples from history like Chief Abiola, a previous candidate. Long stories here. Then Shimakali says 90% of Igbos want to leave Nigeria. Yes, well, we've tried that before. Didn't work, but I can understand people who feel marginalized, not wanting to be part of our country. Patricia, it would be like if people in Ohio felt totally marginalized and just decided they didn't want to be Americans anymore. There's a lot of that going on in Nigeria right now, in places that feel neglected by the ruling elite. Flora Una says she thinks revolution is the only option. She doesn't think we can be saved by elections. Oh, dear me. Tinubu is a friend of Igbo politicians only. He's not a friend of the Igbo people. Thank you. Gosbrodas Ifanyi says that he likes my work, always watches my TV shows or whatever. Efifani says, if only Nigerians are ready to defend their votes. Yeah, I hope they are, because, you know, that for life praises me for a fantastic analysis. Thank you. I'm glad you think my analysis is good. And by the way, okay, I do get people who disagree with me, including one or two friends, especially on Facebook, actually, rather than on YouTube. But, you know, whenever I mention Peter Obi, I tend to find that most people agree with me. So it's not that I ignore the negative comments that some people make about my opinions about Peter Obi or other topics. It's just that I don't get many negative comments or criticisms. But there's one here from someone called Samuel Ilori, 8161. He says, who told you that President Tinubu doesn't have the Southeast interest at heart? I think this woman is absolutely bitter against Tinubu. This woman is me and APC. I see Peter Obi as a weak leader who could not unite his Labour Party members, and you now want him to govern Nigeria. The problem with Obi is that he wants to please everybody. I rest my case. Okay, Samuel, well, you know, it's interesting to hear your opinion. I mean, I do think that Obi has not handled the Labour Party conflicts and issues as well as he could have. Though, of course, you have to be in his shoes to know what the problem, you know, if what he's been through. It may not be as simple as you think. I mean, Labour Party is being aggressively sabotaged by Tinubu and outside forces. And it's very difficult to fight when you have enemies within. It's very difficult to solve a problem when you are being undermined by people who claim to be on your side. There's a lot of treachery going on in the Labour Party. And I think that it's easier said than done to resolve that problem. But, you know, Samuel, so you have a point. Obi could definitely have managed this Labour Party thing better. But I don't know how you can say that Tinubu has the Southeast interest at heart, because he clearly doesn't. You don't know him. You don't know people who know him. And you must be blind if you haven't noticed his anti-Igbo bias. But you're right about one or two other things, probably. And then there's someone called Sado or Sado7945 who also disagrees with me, who says, Obi is a dubious, intellectually mediocre demagogue. Lol, laugh out loud. How can anyone say APC is not popular in Nigeria? Hating APC in Igbo land, as you are programmed by Obi and Nnamdi Kanu, may be your choice, but APC is hugely popular. Interrogate your biases. Sado, S-A-D-O, 7945. You should change your tag to Sado, S-A-D-D-O, because you are sadly deluded. APC is not popular in this country, definitely not in the South or Southeast. Even in Yoruba land, I know a lot of people who do not like APC. So Sado, or Sado as you should be known, will you please stop lying to yourself and trying to spread fake propaganda to people who have brains? I mean, you say that Obi is intellectually mediocre. You're intellectually mediocre if you haven't noticed that the whole half of northern Nigeria, let me not say the whole of northern Nigeria, but I've not come across many northerners this year who have anything good to say about APC. Okay? So I don't know where you're coming from, where you get your ideas from, but you are completely wrong. APC is extremely unpopular. If you say that APC doesn't deserve to be unpopular and give me good reasons, then I can sort of like have a discussion with you. But when you completely deny that APC is unpopular, I think, well, there's nothing we can really say to each other. But thanks for sharing your views anyway, because it does make things a bit spicier when not everybody is on the same page. And finally, let's get on to the video that I produced on Friday. And that was about, well, my main thing was I had ordered some things online, and when they arrived, they were totally different from the items, handbags and clothes that had been advertised on two websites belonging to companies called Alcantro and Dorothy's Bags. So I complained bitterly about it. And interestingly, I've only had one response. I thought that a lot of people get back to me to say that they've been ripped off by internet retailers as well. But apparently not. Well, not so far anyway. That was 2 days ago, and the only person who's responded is Patricia Wask, who says that the same thing happened to her with a vibrant padded quilt she ordered for her sister from Facebook. It was as thin as a bedsheet and not nearly as vibrant as the online advertisement. They ripped me off, and I was not allowed to return it. Well, you know, I was a little bit luckier than you, Patricia, because they did agree to give me a partial refund when I complained bitterly. And I think it's because I'm a journalist, and I just basically, they knew that I was more trouble. I could make a lot of trouble for them. But, you know, so if anybody else has had bad experiences with internet orders, do let us know. It's an interesting topic that is potentially relevant to everyone. So that's all for this week, and thank you very much for tuning in.